What's going on, fam? It's your boy Sydney from the Naked Gardeners, going through this maze. This time of year, around the fall season, I get asked a lot of questions about how we grow our collards. So in this video, we're going to show you how to start your seeds for beginners that want to plant some collards. Before we start, we got to clear a lot of this mess off this table. So let me go ahead and get that going. We're going to talk a lot about how to start your seeds, what growing medium to use, fertilizer, light, watering, all of that. So that way you can have a great successful germination, which will lead to transplanting and also into harvesting your collard greens. There are many varieties of collard greens. You have your Georgia collards, which is the most common one. You have your vast, and you also have, I believe, with one of some of the big box stores, they do like a Morris variety. Me particularly, I like the Creole collard greens because their leaves are huge and they have a robust flavor. Find out what collard greens that you like and try to grow those. If you don't know what USDA growing zone that you're in, all you have to do is Google it, get on your phone, laptop, and put what is the first frost date in my area, put your zip code, and it will give you your average of your last 10 years. All right, so let's talk about seed start mix. Here we made our own seed start mix. I keep this plastic bag over it, as you can see, to keep it nice and moist. Now, for those that just starting off, you probably starting off small or in your backyard garden, so you might want to not start something this big. Normally, when we first started, we started off with the Jiffy seed starting mix. If you do that, you need to make sure you sterilize your seed starting mix, because a lot of times those have fungus gnats in them, and when you start in your seeds and they start to germinate, some of those fungus gnats will hatch out of their eggs and into your soil and start eating off your seedlings and have them dying off. Here with the seed starting mix that we made, it's a simple starting mix. We use peat moss. If you're against using peat moss, you could use cocoa coir. But for us, the cost effectiveness of trying to find a large quantity of cocoa coir doesn't suit us. So with peat moss, even though peat moss now is almost 20 bucks, when we first started out in garden about 5 years ago, it was under 10 bucks. Actually, it was like 8 bucks, but now it's like $18, $19 for 3 cubic feet. So we'll get some peat moss, and then we'll also get some vermiculite. That's the main ingredient when you're using seed starting mix. So with the seed starting mix, we did 5 parts, and 5 parts is just anything that you can get a hold of, like this is a part. So we'll do 5 parts of the peat moss and 1 part of the vermiculite. We also add some worm castings. When germinating your seeds, you really don't need any type of fertilizer in your growing medium. However, sometimes we forget to transplant or up pot our seedlings. So what that worm casting does is, once that seedling gets that first true leaves, it will provide nutrients for that seedlings. But here what we have is a nice seed starting mix. It's moist, but we wanted to get it a little bit wetter because with seed starting mix, like I said, most of the times they're cocoa coir or peat moss, and if you start your seeds in a dry growing medium, it's hard. You're going to be finding yourself constantly wetting the growing medium. So if you start off with a nice moist growing medium, it's less watering you have to do when your seeds are trying to germinate. So we'll just add just a little bit more water to this. And we kind of want it into like a cake mix. So this is already wet. Like I said, you kind of wanted something like that, where not too wet coming out of there. So when you're going like this, it's hard for it to break down. So I want the consistency like that throughout the whole mix here. right, so I think we have it what we want right there. Got a little bit water coming out. That's perfect. We do this in a large batch because, and then just save it in the wheelbarrow, keep that plastic over it, like I said, to kind of keep it moist. So that way, if we ever need to start any more seeds, we have it already on hand. Like I said, for y'all that are starting out, y'all probably have a small garden. Get you about 2 to 3 of those Jiffy seed starting mix, and you could probably do about 3, maybe 5 to 6 trays. Now let me show you how we pack this growing medium into our cells. Now these are from Bootstrap Farmer. We're not affiliated with Bootstrap Farmer, but we use and love their products. These cells here are made with high quality plastic. Now when you're probably starting out, you probably see these type of plastic. As you can see, they crumble very easily. With this one, it doesn't. Same with the trays. These are 10-20 trays, basically 10 inches there, 20 inches there. So we had these trays now for since probably 4 to 5 years now. As you can see, they hold up very well, long lasting. Most of them have like a year warranty with them, I believe. I have to check. It's been a while. We haven't had to use them. I think I only had to use them one time. I guess when they made it, they had a hole in it or something like that. I called them up and I told them, hey, one of the trays that y'all sent me had a hole in it when I was doing some bottom water. We'll talk about that later. And they sent it out within that week, and with no questions asked. Didn't have to send the other one back or anything. So when starting these, what I normally do is I'll just grab, oh, we got a little bug there. I'll grab some of my growing medium, put it into there like that. Make sure I get it nice and flush. And then if you have an extra one of these, you can just push it down. But if you don't, you can just mush the soil down like that. And what that does is keep a foundation, get all the air pockets out, so that when you put your seeds in there, the seeds doesn't fall all the way through. Here we have your seed start mix. Once again, you got it in there. Get as much as you can in there. Smooth it out. This time I'm going to use my tray to get a nice, good flush system. Get all those air pockets out, and then we'll put more. Get it nice and flush, just like that. I'm going to do the rest of these, and then we'll go to the next step. So what I typically would do is, just when I'm starting these seeds, I'll put 2 seeds per each cell, and that will increase my germination rates. And I won't go more than 1/4 inch deep. You don't want to go more than 2 times the depth of what your seedlings are. For that particular reason is you want that energy from that seed once it's trying to pop up through that soil medium that you're growing in, or that growing medium that you're growing in. You want it to have that energy to be able to pop out through that top portion to start gaining some of that light. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting one hole there, just to kind of keep them away from each other. So that way, when we're time to thin them out, it'll be a lot easier to thin them out. All right, so now time to plant the seeds. Like I said, we're going to do 1 seed there, 1 seed there. So I just realized that I was only supposed to do about 12 collard greens, and I was going to do the rest for some herbs and stuff. But it wind up being pretty good because we're going to be harvesting a lot of those and getting canning a lot of those for Thanksgiving and Christmas, giving out to some family members and friends. So I'll take that. We got plenty of places to put those at, in containers and into the beds. But now let me show you how to water. Okay, so now all we got to do is just cover up like this. And what we probably might even do, let's do something different. As we'll come through here, put a little soil on top of that. That way we can get full contact of the seeds, so they could get every bit of this moist soil on top of it. Now, if you're starting with a dry seed starting mix, this is a time where you want to wet it, your seed starting mix, but you don't want to spray it from the top. What you want to do is do a bottom watering. Let me show you how that works. So with bottom watering, what you want to do is water your seed tray right from here. That allows the water to wick up from the dry seed starting mix. Most cells have these little slits that allow water to wick up through there. I normally go a little bit above that when you're watering from the bottom trays, and I'll let it sit in there for about 20-30 minutes. You'll know that your seed starting mix has gained a lot of water when it starts to look like this from being dry. Now, since we've already started with a wet seed starting mix, what I'm still going to do is I'm still going to do a light mist on the top. Then we're going to go inside and put these underneath our grow rack under some grow lights. Put this on the mist. Give this a light soaking. All right, so the reason why you want to do a mist instead of just a shower or full out spray, because you're going to disturb the seeds and probably knock them down too low. Like I said, you want to have all that energy for that seed to be able to sprout out through that seed starting mix. So now let's go put these underneath the grow lights. Before we put our collards underneath our grow rack system, we want to hear from y'all. What are y'all currently growing for the fall season? Comment down below. And if you like this content so far, make sure you give us a thumbs up. All right, so we have our tray underneath the grow lights. We built this grow rack system for about under $200 a while back. We've had it now for several years. These shop lights that we got from Walmart were very cheap at the time. I believe they were at $18. They're probably around $20-25 now. They give off the correct amount of lumens. For grow lights, you need about 3,000 lumens and about 4,000 to 5,000 kelvins. Your seeds don't need any light to help them germinate. All they need is most of the time just a wetness from the soil. But once they penetrate through that growing medium, that's when they need some lights. So we want to keep the lights anywhere from about 2 to 3 inches above the soil. That way it will prevent your seedlings from becoming leggy. Once your seedlings put their true leaves out, that would be the perfect time to start fertilizing. Now, you don't want to fertilize with 511 or 511, as most people will call it, because it's a very smelly, well, any organic fertilizer is going to be very smelly. So you want to kind of dilute it. You don't need to do full solution of your fertilizer. Just give it about 1/4 inch strength. Because with ours, we have the worm casting. That's when the seedlings will start to feed off of that worm casting. Once your seedlings get anywhere from 4 to 6 inches, that's when you're ready to take it outside. You're going to have to do a hardening off process where you kind of decrease the chance of it being transplant shock once you plant it into your container or your in-ground, wherever you're going to finish your collards at. So we're going to leave these in here for about 4 to 6 weeks. They should be germinating anywhere from 3 to 7 days. Then from there, you'd have to pay attention to your soil, making sure that if your soil becomes light, that's when you want to do another bottom watering. Don't let the water sit in there for too long. Once you see your top of your soil gets the color of what it is right now, is a dark, moist color, then that's when you want to drain all the water out of here. Don't leave the water inside of here, because you'll start to probably get some mold on top of here, because you're always keeping your soil a little bit too wet. You want to at least allow it to get about 1 day worth of dry. So if all this becomes dry, we'll let it sit for about 24 hours. Then we'll make sure we water it again. We got to a point now where we're watering every 2 to 3 days. And it's just an easy, simple process. That's because of the humidity, the temperature that we keep it inside the house. You're going to have to figure out what works best for you. Now, if you're interested on building this growing rack system that we did, we built this a while back. Like I said, we did a video about it. We'll put that video off to the side and also in the description down below. Until the next video, let's grow together.